Some women don't lose themselves overnight. They disappear slowly. Not because they're weak, not because they don't know better, but because they were kind for too long, without being protected. This is not a story about generosity. It's a story about what happens when kindness is mistaken for obligation, when being understanding becomes self-erasure, when love turns into endurance, when giving stops being a choice. And by the end of this video, you will understand the exact moment a woman's kindness stops being healthy and starts becoming self-sacrifice. If you've ever felt tired for reasons you couldn't explain, stay with me. Many women grow up learning a quiet rule. Be good. Be easy. Be helpful. So you learn to read the room, to anticipate needs before they're spoken, to soften your voice, to minimize your discomfort. Not because someone asked you, but because it worked. Being kind kept the peace. Being understanding kept you liked. Being accommodating kept you safe. So you became very good at it. You became the one people rely on, the one who listens, the one who adjusts. And at first, it feels meaningful. You feel needed. You feel trusted. You feel valuable. But over time, something shifts. You notice you're always the one compromising, always the one explaining, always the one absorbing emotional weight. You start saying yes automatically, not because you want to, but because saying no feels wrong. You tell yourself, it's not a big deal. I can handle it. They would do the same for me. But slowly, they don't. And even more quietly, you stop asking yourself what you need. This isn't one dramatic moment. It's a pattern. And that pattern is dangerous because they feel normal.
Now, let's talk about when kindness begins to turn. Kindness becomes harmful when it's no longer rooted in choice, but in fear. Fear of disappointing, fear of conflict, fear of being seen as difficult. So kindness stops being an expression of who you are and becomes a strategy to stay accepted. Psychologically, this is where emotional labor enters. Emotional labor is not just caring. It's the constant monitoring of others' emotions, the responsibility for harmony, the unspoken job of keeping everything smooth. And when emotional labor has no boundaries, it turns into self-abandonment. Because now your worth is tied to how well you manage everyone else. You don't just give your time, you give your attention, your empathy, your emotional availability. And the most dangerous part? You are praised for it. You're so kind. You're so patient. You're so understanding. No one asks how much it costs you, and eventually, neither do you. Let's slow this down, because self-sacrifice doesn't look dramatic. It looks responsible. It looks mature. It looks like staying quiet so someone else doesn't feel uncomfortable. It looks like replying even when you're exhausted, like explaining your feelings gently so no one feels attacked. It looks like emotional flexibility that only moves in one direction. You bend, you adjust, you wait. And you tell yourself it's fine. But your body knows better. Your body keeps score. Tight shoulders, constant fatigue, a mind that never fully rests. Because you're always on, always available, always thinking ahead, always managing the emotional temperature of the room. And no one notices, because you make it look easy. Here's the truth most women don't hear. You were never taught that kindness includes you. You were taught endurance. You were taught patience. You were taught to be the bigger person, even when it costs you your voice. So your needs become negotiable. Your rest becomes conditional. Your boundaries feel like betrayals.
And every time you push yourself aside, it reinforces the belief that your presence is only valuable when you're giving something away. This is not love. This is survival. Let's name what's happening. Your kindness is not the problem. The problem is the belief that love must be earned through self-erasure, that being needed is the same as being valued, that being good means being smaller. This isn't generosity, it's conditioning, and the exhaustion you feel is not weakness, it's wisdom. Your nervous system is signaling that something is out of balance. You were not meant to disappear to be loved. You were not meant to carry everything just because you can. Kindness was never meant to replace your identity. True kindness includes choice, includes reciprocity, includes rest. And anything that demands your silence, your shrinking, your constant self-neglect is not kindness. So how do you begin to undo this without becoming cold, guarded, or harsh? You start small. First, pause before agreeing, not to decide what's right, not to predict reactions, just to ask, do I have the capacity for this? Capacity is not about time, it's about energy, and you are allowed to protect it. Second, practice kindness with limits. You can care without over-explaining, support without self-betrayal, love without disappearing. Boundaries are not walls, they are clarity, and clarity is kindness. Third, decouple worth from usefulness. You are not more lovable when you are exhausted. You are not less valuable when you rest. Your needs are not an inconvenience. They are information. And honoring them is not selfish. It's sustainable. If this video felt personal, it's because many women are unlearning the same lesson, that kindness should never cost you yourself. You deserve to stay whole while still being kind. And that is where real strength begins. Before you go, there's one thing I want you to remember. Your kindness was never the mistake. The mistake was teaching you that love requires you to disappear. You were never meant to be endlessly available, never meant to be endlessly patient, never to carry everyone while leaving yourself behind. You don't lose your softness when you choose yourself. You don't become cold when you set limits. You don't become selfish when you stop sacrificing your well-being to keep others comfortable. You become honest. And honesty is where real connection begins. So if today you choose to pause instead of pushing, to say no instead of shrinking, to rest instead of proving, that is not weakness. That is wisdom. And if no one has told you this before, let this be the moment you hear it clearly. You are allowed to be kind without losing yourself. You always were.